call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
What up? Welcome back to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, let's go ahead and add one more figure to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. Now this time we will be taking a look at Batrocitus. Now pretty random character selection in this one. I'm pretty sure that this character only comes out like in one or two panels of a random comic. I think it's the Dark Knight's Metal. I do have a point. Now it's not going to be so much as the character that we are receiving, but it is going to point out some very specific things about the DC Multiverse line and McFarlane that I, as your fearless leader, thought that I would bring to your attention because I find it very relevant and decisive when thinking about the McFarlane DC Multiverse line. Now I did just get out of a workout, so bear with me, but let's take a look at this figure because I do have some rather important points that I would like to make, not necessarily about Batrocitus, but more with the line that we are actively collecting. Now he does look pretty crimson in the packaging, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. But first, he does come with your standard black DC Multiverse stand. Not really needed, but sometimes useful. He also comes with his data file card. On the front, you do have some figure photography, a little bit rendered. And on the back, you do have some information. Now starting off, there is something pretty cool about this figure photography. You could see where they designed it to where all the parts that have kind of like tooling, like a crevice, I guess you could say, in the suit, have like a clear film, which is not on the figure, but it's just something that if they made it like this, it would just be really cool. I thought the design was really nice, even though this character is short-lived in the comics. I think he gets actually blown apart in the third panel, but pretty cool. We'll add this to the collection. He does come with two fisted alternate hands, and the right one actually does have the Red Lantern ring sculpted out on it, so that is really awesome. And he also comes with his Red Lantern, an awesome piece to add to the collection. We are getting a pretty nice little collection of lantern batteries from McFarlane to put in our collections. That is really cool. Now let's go ahead and take a look at them. First impressions, love the design of the suit and the way they actually executed it. It does have some differences to the Batrocitus figure, which is really huge compared to this guy. So they are not exactly the same design. This one has a little bit of different design choices for the suit. So this one has more of like a generic Red Lantern suit compared to the Batrocitus suit. That one has like the shoulder guards and different knee-high boots, and there's just some differences compared to this. Now this is a character that is basically the Batman mixed with Batrocitus, so that's why I think he's this size, because he's not necessarily like the alien form of Batrocitus, which is, you know, about 8 feet tall. He is more like Bruce Wayne, you know, with a Red Lantern ring mixed with alien DNA, so that's pretty interesting, even though it was short-lived. But I do love the design. He has a pretty cool bat mixed with lantern emblem here on the front, accentuated with the white paint around it. But all in all, a rather interesting and unique design for a character. Let's take a look at the head sculpt now. This guy looks pretty crazy. It is a gnarly, dark take on the head sculpt. Just look at those teeth. You could see a lot of bat-like features on him. Actually, beautiful head sculpt. It's just a certain design that has to be appreciated by some people, probably me. So yeah, pretty cool, unique head sculpt. Love some. He has these like red lines up above his brows. It just gives him some accent of color for what it is. Really, really different head sculpt. Let's take a look at the articulation. He does look down pretty good. Up, not so much, but you can push it and get him looking up a little bit. I mean, I could mod this, but I have a feeling that I just won't be, modding it. I'll leave it the way it is. You got right to left, and you can tilt his head for some attitude. Pretty standard head articulation for McFarlane. Now, let's take a look at the waist. You do have side to side, that full range of motion at the waist. Lower waist swivel, upper chest swivel, which is actually pretty smooth. You can twist them, put them in some cool poses. Now he look at that. He has some pretty cool front crunch. And you could lean him back pretty good for some flying poses or attacking poses. Now before we go, I'd just like to talk about, look at the cut that it has above the abs. It's just so smooth and fluid. It just glides so effortlessly and snugly. This is a beautiful upper chest diaphragm connection. Love the design. The way it like V tapers down to the middle gives it a nice aesthetic look. And then look at the way the upper abdomen part floats over the trunks. It just gives it a cleaner, more narrow fit. And this is how McFarlane should be doing his body sculpts. It just looks awesome. The silhouette is perfect. The articulation is just so smooth. Just awesome craftsmanship on this figure. The materials feel great. Let's take a look at the shoulder. He does have a butterfly joint in there. So you get up and down, front to back, a lot of rotation. Has a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, not the cleanest, but it'll pass. Now you go down from the shoulder pauldrons into the arm, which the whole suit has like a kind of micro bead sculpt work in there. Very reminiscent of the Kyle Rayner and the Batrocitus figure. You have his gauntlet going down into his like clawed hands. Now, he does have the regular old school McFarlane wrist ball joint, but it is so small and so well hidden that it does not affect the silhouette of the figure at all. It has a cool, clean transition from the gauntlet into the hand, and that wrist ball just gives you that added articulation, hinging, and pivoting. So this is how McFarlane should do his wrists. The other side the same, and of course on this side you have, even though it's a clawed hand, you still have the lantern ring sculpted out. So this is, perfect work by McFarlane. Get him in a T-pose. Could actually push it, get it a little bit more, but not too much, but you can swivel his arms and get his hands above his head. And the articulation feels really, really clean and smooth. No fight back at all. Let's take a look at the thigh swivel. Awesome thigh swivel. Get a lot of range there, which means you do not need a thigh cut. Now, I'll show you again. That means that if your foot is like this and you push it all the way out, but then you want to actually change the direction of the foot, you just swivel his thigh and it goes that way without having to have a thigh cut in there. It just works really well when it's done like this, and you still get a lot of rotation in the leg. Now he can kick up really high. mafia kick style, really high backwards as well, and this is allowed by the rubber in the trunks, and when you put it back, it just goes back to its original form. Cock out his leg. He does have that sweet hip swivel. Double jointed knees. Passable. Straighten them out. You have up and down at the ankle. Right to left. Rocker. And toe articulation. Now, before we go, another thing I'm going to point out on this one, he has the sculpted ankle ball joints, not the round ones, but it's also halfway hidden with the boot and the upper calf. So you don't see it, and he didn't have to make it sculpted, but being sculpted gives it a lot more smoother function and just makes it look a lot more cleaner. This is another thing that McFarlane should keep doing with his figures. Just looks awesome. Take a look at him from the bottom. No tread, but some identifying marks. Moving up the back, more sculpted detail on the boots. You have that beaded texture work on the suit, and then going up into an awesome thick back. Now he does have the cutouts on his shoulders, so you could put the butterfly joints in there and get a more range. But I'm just really marveled by the wideness of his back and the sculpture in it. Just a beautiful, beautiful, anatomically correct back. Now this figure is very anatomical. I mean, it's all in proportion. You could like get this pattern and use it for tons of superheroes, like thick, thick bodies, muscular bodies, but not necessarily like overly muscular, just like that lean look, even though he is a little bit thicker than other figures. But it's just a perfect map of how to do a figure. It just looks really, really good. Now you can pop off his hand and put the fist with the ring, which makes it complete, and it actually goes in and out smoothly. And that's another thing that McFarlane should be doing, is adding at least 4 different hands, 2 regular ones and then 2 fisted ones with all figures. It would just push the line up above a little bit more than it already is. Now you can get the lantern and put it in the other hand, and this makes a complete figure. So basically what I'm trying to explain is that even though this is not the best character or like a character people really wanted or asked for, what I would take from this figure is the completeness that McFarlane could be in articulation, in design, in sculpt work, in materials that they choose, like this one has like some vinyl pieces that are really awesome. Encompassing that with some added alternate hands and added accessories, and you get a more complete release, which a lot of releases should follow this format, and it would just, take McFarlane to that next level, even though he's doing really well right now. So don't sleep on this one. He is a pretty basic Red Lantern body sculpt. You could like find a different head and put it on him and just make a random Red Lantern figure. That might be something to look for once this guy goes on sale. You could get a couple extra ones and bulk up your Red Lanterns, and they'll all come with your Red Lantern batteries. So it's just a win-win for us and a win for McFarlane. Now we do want to take a look at him next to the figures that he's a mesh of, which is Batman. We'll use the 3 Jokers and Batrocitus. So this is a melding pretty much of those characters into this Batrocitus. Now he's not going to be the most sought after figure. He's not going to be everybody's preferred release, but I definitely will be adding him to the collection right next to the other lanterns. He's going to look really well. I did want to bring in Batrocitus here, just so you could see the differences in the suit. It's not the same. It is a completely different design, and Batrocitus is one badass figure. That's a figure everybody needs. I did want to see how the lantern would look in Batrocitus' hands. I mean, he can hold it. Looks pretty good, better than I thought. Could always get an extra one of these, or just take this one from that one. It's not a big deal. Or put him up with the rest of your lanterns. But he's going to look really good up on the shelf next to the rest of your McFarlane lantern figures. You guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.